Nice to see you.
Good. So funny, eh? I can be here in Spencer's and you're in Hong Kong. And
It's great.
I was preparing my notes to taste with you, and I was comparing in Rioja. If you compare from 18 to 15, the 18 they were the El Embero is the when when the grapes they're becoming red.
Like veraison.
La Veraison.
Yeah.
La Veraison, we had 20 days of difference between 15 and 20. You know that 15 we had good results because at the end we had a summer that thanks to the summer things went better. But no, I think that I think 18 is we will see today. I think 18 is a good vintage. Then of course we had the 17 it was frost.
Yeah, it was short. Yeah.
Frost. We had, to tell you the truth, the end of the 2000, from 17 that we had frost. 18 was amazing because I think, for example, somebody like Maria Jose Lopez Heredia, that she knows, she has these records. She said, 18 is like 64. because
she wasn't even, she was like 3 years old then.
She was like 64. I thought, yes, Maria Jose, I was like 64. Why you say that? Yes, because it was a lot of production. We had exactly started the harvest the same day. And because it's true that 18 is a very strange vintage because you have a lot of production, but it's very good.
That's
fantastic. And apparently 64 was like this. You have a very good crop.
And 64 for me is one of the greatest vintages ever for Spain, particularly Rioja. They're so good. They're incredible wines.
It's true. Was a mythic. That is why it's funny when Maria Jose said that the 18 is a lot like the 64.
I hope so.
So, because for example, if you compare, we had some good wines in 15, but it's true that the 18, if you compare in the terms of the balance, the maturity, I think it's true that 18 is much better. It's much better vintage.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the only thing is last Saturday we had a fire in Cebreros, in Gredos.
Yeah, I saw that.
And we had one vineyard was a little bit burned, but we are worried with this because things were looking very nice. So I don't know, but the rest I think I'm very excited to go back because I think this is we are going to have a year that is looking quite good.
I only know you guys in Commando G. Are there any other producers in Gredos that are good?
Yes, now there is a very, very nice movement. It's true that there is a kind of, it's a nice movement because first there is a lot of excited young people going to Gredos. So I think it's very good. It's true that there is this new approach to wine, more infusion, natural.
Yeah, natural.
That this will change because we need consistency. The problem of Gredos is very hard for us. We invest a lot because we can lose money in this area because we work a lot. We work very hard in the vineyards. I think very few people can do that. But it's true that there is a movement that it will. I think Luis Gutierrez does push a lot this area because as being one of the areas that many elements are there because you have an amazing Grenache, young people, a new approach to Grenache, and it's true that all these wines that they are very, very fluid, very delicate. But I think will definitely this area will go up.
For Rioja, you're very happy with 18. You're saying like 64. There was a big production.
I think 18 is an amazing vintage for Rioja. It was strange because in the beginning we were worried because the vines were full. They were full of grapes. But it's true that it's very fresh. The tannins are amazing, delicate. So I think we are in front of one of the. And for example, it's true, for us it's very. because our 2015s, and you did rate very high, the 2015s, it's true that 2015 they are very good wines, but maybe you have to taste, and there are a few highlights in this slide now that I think 2018 you will see an amazing, delicate, fresh, and beautiful tannins in Rioja in general.
Totally.
And even in the Garnacho vineyard that we have in Las Beatas, it took us a long time. So I remember we did wait a little bit for the Grenache, and the Grenache it's like a very, very slowly they ripe. So the Graciano was very ripe as the Tempranillo, and the Garnacho we had to push a little bit because normally we don't like to do that because we normally love to mix everything in the tank.
That's really classy. And how about Tempranillo with a late harvest? How does that different than Garnacha with that sort of growing season in 18?
I think like Tempranillo is more, it's not affected so much. Always the Tempranillo is like the middle as well. It's like, somebody that is, it's like when you have a friend that is, you can take him to the mountain, you can take him to surf, you can take him to, I think Tempranillo is very, you have a margin. I think for me, always is very funny when we do the harvest, you have the backbone is the Tempranillo. And normally we have problems depending the vintage with Graciano, that the skin is very delicate, or Garnacha. And then, yes, you can be a little bit like mix with the idea, but I think Tempranillo always, you have a kind of, always will go well slowly, and but you don't have those issues. It's more, it's more flexible.
I have now. I'm trying the Vietas.
This is the most beautiful Beata that we did, and because it is the vintage.
But that's crazy. That's really where Rioja becomes like a Grand Cru Burgundy. Do you know? It's just like nuts.
And the wine that they will
and more like Von Romane. That is just insane, man. That's está loco.
I think that this vintage is extremely beautiful.
So do you like the 16 or do you like the 18 better of Vietas?
No, I think the 18 is I think the 18 was the best Beatas we did ever. I think because even 15 was a very successful vintage, as is the one it was sold for $4,000. But I think 18 is more interesting than 15 by far. Yeah. Because the vintage
16, I like 16 too. 16 had a great length to it.
Well, the 16 was good. I think the 16 was good, and it's true that 17 we had the frost and we was more complicated. But I think if you analyze the vintage, 18 is more Grand Vin than 16.
Yeah.
We got little jump to Toro because we go fast now. We got just Pago La Jara 17. So and Pago La Jara, you're going to move to see. It's interesting to see another completely, a very complicated vintage 17 because we had frost. So very.
Oh, that was crazy.
It was frost. It's true that in Toro, it's very balony, so the frost was not so radical as in Ribera del Duero that we decided not to produce the wine. But we did very little wine, but I think it's a very delicate vintage. So I think it's
Was there a lot of frost in Rioja as well?
So 17 was very complicated in Rioja and Ribera del Duero. Toro, as I said, is balony, so we had frost, but not so much. But it's a vintage that has been marked by the frost. And it's true that when you had frost and you did manage well the crop, you have good things. I think 17, you can have a very good examples of wines that if you did a proper work in the vineyard. Huh?
But I like the freshness to this Toro. 17 was also hot, but and it really shows a nice. Are the vines planted the traditional way then?
Yeah. Those Pago La Jara are very, very old vines in Toro. All bush vines that they are 80, 90 years old.
Okay, now we'll go to
Matayana.
Matayana.
in Matayana, we started in 1998, and we did a crazy job. We decided to plant a lot of our vineyards. So today we have 21 hectares, and we decided to do a completely different approach. Here we have 5 villages. We have very specific vineyards in specific soils, all bush vine, all field blend. And I think it was in 2016 that we started like the new and the real Matayana project, when everything was in place. So
okay,
if you see the label, we were forbidden to talk about our vineyards. If you see the label of Matayana,
yes.
If you see this a kind of behind this, you have the name and the surface of every vineyard that we have in 5 villages: Sotillo de la Ribera, Roa, Fuentecén, Fuentemolinos, and Pardilla. So all our wine, all our project has been based in 5 villages with 5 soils different. And maybe this was inspired in the idea of the old Vega Sicilia. Vega Sicilia, they were blending all grapes from the different places. So we love this idea that you take different clima and you take different soils and you produce one wine. So today we only produce 1 Matayana, and from those 20 hectares. And I love this approach of wine. I think I love this. Today we found an underground cellar to age our wines very, very low in temperature.
And how much does it? Telmo, how much does it sell for?
I think this is the price is around in the shop. Should be around 40 euros.
Okay.
40
so
euros.
Are you going to also are you going to stick to this level? It's sort of like the PSI, sort of like that, or will you also make even a higher quality one? I mean, I think it's excellent.
Now we want to be very consistent with Matayana. I think Matayana, we want to be in the top league of Ribera del Duero with a very delicate profile. The success was amazing. We saw and all our importers are extremely happy with this wine because we are doing very well. And as I told you, we are very slow. We have 21 hectares. We have beautiful vineyards. We are working this idea of aging long time the wines, and I don't know. We have many ideas in our brain, but we for now I think Matayana is. We want to be consistent. I think we produce 18,000. How many bottles with this vintage, James? You have in the back label?
22,000.
So this is in 21 hectares. So we go very slowly. We sell wine in bulk that we don't like. So we are relaxed, and we want to be one of the top references in Ribera, being very artisanal, slowly.
But reasonable, reasonable if you consider the quality.
What do you think about the vintage 15? You're comparing with the 18 that you've been drinking from the rest of Rioja.
I think 15s are obviously more concentrated. I like I almost find 18 more, if I remember, more like 16, where it's a little bit fresher and not as much fruit in the center palate.
Of course.
And I like at least with your wines, I like the length of the 18s. And I tend to like more refined vintages now and fresher. I'm really excited by it. But honestly, your wines, what I like about your wines is they always tell the story of the vintage, and it's like the quality is pretty much the same every year, but they're so different in character, but they always have that transparency, and the wines are really extremely precise and well made. So, maybe the really great terroirs, all of a sudden you have one wine. Like I really thought the Vietas was pretty crazy, and the Velado also was. I was just loving that wine. It's so good. So 18 was perfect for white, I imagine. It was late, cool, great acidity.
Amazing. You will see that I think 18 Remeyuri is a good it's a good example of this. I don't know which was the last very cool Rebelluri but it's true that in my new, work in Rebelluri, I think 18, we had this amazing. This, for example, this vintage, we started at the end of September, and as I said, 29th of October was snowing, and we did finish the 14th of November to harvest the white. What do you think comparing to the 17th? James?
Well, it's completely the opposite. The 17 was much more powerful and oily. Absolutely. This is super like linear and fresh, and in a lot of ways more, I would say more serious. It has great length. It's incredible.
Absolutely. But you see, those are the two words I was telling you.
Yeah, it's a vintage.
The oiliness of the 17th, and here the freshness, the character, the talent.
You probably don't realize that you're like an amazing. You make great white wine or red wines, but your whites are really, there's not a lot of competition for whites.
Well, I think we have the, but look, James, with the Galicia, we are taking time to do something. We are very slow. I think we are very serious and very sober.
Yeah.
You can do an amazing wine if you have an amazing raw material and place behind. If not, I think to make wine is not complicated. If you have I imagine to produce a cask of Le Morachy is not very complicated, but the only thing you need is to have the grapes of Le Morachy.
Right.
For me, it's very clear. To be a good winemaker, no problem. Find the best place.
Yeah, right.
It's like
That's
to cook
so
with
funny.
a nice truffle.
Yeah, right.
Easy. You arrived in Spain I remember the first year, you remember we were tasting together when you came to Briñas, and you arrived in the perfect moment to be somebody that is going to follow this amazing revolution that is happening in Spain. And I think that there's even a new generation now, amazing. Yesterday I was speaking with a young kid, Javi Revert, from that, I do this project with a magazine that we do art and wine. And now I'm giving the opportunity to young generations to show them. I think this is an amazing energy in Spain and a very nice attitude. And I think so you're going to be able to follow this. And I think you're going to be key to follow this amazing movement. So, no, I think it's great. I think what you're doing for Spain now is great. And I think
we're going to do more because it's such a great place. And I have a good team of young people like in their 20s and 30s. And it's just like you, where I want to make sure I mentor them, and they're already excellent tasters, but they haven't had the experience, but good writers. And that's going to be, and most have grown up in Asia. So it's pretty exciting times. I can really see Spain. I can't think of any other place that has more upside than Spain right now, with the history, new generation, amazing food. South America had a great moment, but I love going there, but there's not a lot. I think there'll be new wines, but their moment was 5 years ago. If you think about anything else, Australia a little bit, but you guys are just in such a great position. Italy is always going to be great, but it's so established now. Like Spain's really, the moment. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, hermano.
Thank you, James.